everybody, welcome back to Record-ology. This is a show that has been in the works for weeks, and I'm so excited to finally be able to share it with you. Members got a sneak peek a few days ago. If you're not already a member, think about joining. $1 a month. Anyway, so you guys know I've been on this Bing Crosby kick as of late, and when you go down the Bing Crosby rabbit hole, you run into certain things, such as, I was mentioning this in my lives, the road movies and Bob Hope and Dorothy Lamour and all this stuff. But I also went down the rabbit hole of Bing Crosby endorsed products, and I came upon the famous 1946 Bing Crosby Philco Radio Phonograph system. And I had seen these before. It's a slot-in automatic, fully automatic turntable and radio. Fantastic design. Very cool. Unfortunately, in working condition, they're pricey. And even in parts-only condition, you're looking at $200 and $300 off. And I found one. Now, I started these videos about this, and I was going to do a full restoration. That's still in the works. Separate from that, we were in Houston a few weeks ago at Curtin Knox, and the eagle-eyed viewer among you may have noticed a 1946 Philco and a 1949 Philco sitting on a lower shelf in one of those shots. And you may have been wondering, I wonder if Record-ology noticed that. I did. Well, long story short, I acquired both of those units from Mr. Knock himself, and instead of shipping them back to me here in Orlando, shipped them to my friend, which I mention a lot because he does a lot of wonderful things for me and for the channel, and he restored both. And I worked out a deal with him where he would restore my 49 and I would give him the 46 and he would keep that. So he restored, recapped, did the whole restoration project for me. I recently got that back from him, and as such, this turntable, this system has made a 3,000-mile journey all across the United States, and it's in perfect working condition. So I will share that with you at the end of the show, but first, I want to share chronological video clips that he created during the process of actually restoring these turntables. So mine and his as well. And you're going to see kind of the evolution, all the things that he did along the way. It's going to be a blast. You're not going to want to miss this. In addition to video clips, there'll be some stills like these interspersed with voiceover. So this is the 46, and here it is with the front opened up. This is right after I loaded it into the back of my rental car, and we are headed over to the UPS store to ship these off. As you can see, they were in good cosmetic condition, a little dusty, but not bad. About a week later, they showed up on the East Coast at my friend Fardamark's house, and here are his initial thoughts.
So here's yours on. I had to tune it by reaching in and turning the tuner because the string needs to be restrung. But you can see all the tubes are lighting up. No hum. So I don't know if your capacitors have been changed. It sounds like they're pretty good. I'll double check anyways, but your speaker does need to be changed. It's very blown. But it's a standard permanent magnet 4-inch, so I can just put a regular 4-inch speaker in here and that'll fix the problem. So that's an easy fix. The hard part for me is the dial string, so I'll have to really study how that goes. Other than that, the idler wheel on this one seems to be okay. So you have a good idler wheel. Cartridge needs to be changed. It has a weird red 1950s era ceramic in there that just has no output anymore, or barely any. But other than that, your drive mechanism works. Mine needs a new idler wheel. But an O-ring from the hardware store will fix that. It's a basic 2-inch O-ring. So as you can hear, I have nothing playing right now and no hum whatsoever out of the speaker. So these capacitors or whatever are in here seems to be pretty good, because normally you'd be getting a horrible loud hum. So I'm wondering if these were at one point worked on in like the 90s or something 20 years ago, because if there's 20-year-old capacitors in here, they're still good probably. So that's my guess. So here's what the original cartridge sounds like. It's very weak. I have to crank it all the way up to hear it, so the cartridge is pretty worn out. But you can hear yours somewhat working. Of course, I got to clean the drive mechanism, so it's not going to be perfectly smooth. You can hear the rubbing. That's the bad cartridge having a part that's jutting out of it. This is a This is a test record that's really rough, so I don't mind using this one. But the mechanism works because when it gets to the end, and when I go like this, it goes right back to the beginning. So the little string in the back is doing its job, so that's good. So for the most part, yours works pretty good. The pot on yours is extremely stiff. I don't know what's going on with it, but it does adjust. My recommendation is if you do adjust it, turn it very slowly, like this, and then leave it at a volume that works for you. And that way you don't have to fight it. You just unplug it when you're not using it, and then you just switch between modes to the radio or the phonograph. So we're on radio right now. That's record player. So it is working pretty good. So that's basically the operations of yours. But yeah, that speaker's got to be changed. But I have 4-inch permanent magnet ones in the garage that are about the same era, like 50s, 40s. Anything will work. It's just an 8-ohm, 5-watt permanent speaker. So that's all it is. It's pretty easy to change. This is Bakelite, which is pretty cool. But this, instead of the other one where you have to lift up the whole thing, this has a clip here in the front, and it goes in front first and then down like that. And then you put 2 screws in the back. That's how you fasten this one. So it's pretty easy to get to as well. The chassis is all hooked to one unit versus the other one where it has a separate one here and a separate one here for each component. So this one, you just take the guts out, and the radio chassis and the record player are neck and neck, side by side. And this uses the miniature tubes, where mine uses the bigger tubes, and only uses the 2 big tubes for the amplifier. The radio uses the little tubes. But yeah, as you can see, you can still adjust it. It's just very stiff. I tried shooting it with some WD-40 in there just to loosen up the piston in there, see if there's something up with the bearing, but I'm going to keep whacking it with some cleaner and see if it gets any better. If it doesn't, you just, like I said, move it very slowly to adjust it so you don't break your knobs, and then just leave it. And then a good volume that works for you, and you can just flop between the 2, record player, radio. So that way you just have that option to do that. But other than that, it works pretty good. So yeah.
Maybe more obscure things like large tractors. So part of the plan talks about things like agriculture.
Is always there in times of need with the key information for our community. The overwhelming majority of legislators support a bill to keep AM radio in cars. But time's running out. Please text the 2 letters AM to 52886 and ask.
At this point, he's got the speaker replaced with a new one, which sounds great. Also, there's this nice reference chart showing exactly which tubes are included in this device. Looking underneath, we discovered that it did indeed have mostly new caps, except for a couple that were just grounded out. Put in a new LED light bulb, and the backlit display now works as well. So we're definitely making progress.
So check this out. I took the old idler O-ring off. I found an O-ring kit in the garage, softened it up, popped it on there, and now let's get some power here. Let's see how this. Listen to that. Nice and smooth, no bump. So all I have to do is reflock it, and the drive mechanism should be really nice now. And I just got to replace that cartridge. You can see the LED bulb looks really good. It's nice and warm, and it doesn't get hot. So this celluloid that you see right here will not melt if you left it on for a long time. So it's way safer now.
Next, it was time to check the tubes. Of course, he's got the tube tester. Each of the tubes was marked as being tested good, and everything was pretty much coming along. We also noticed, once we got the backlight on, that the paint needed to be adjusted. So all of the back of that was hand painted.
Broad-based taxes along the lines that President Trump has proposed.
platters for both units were taken down to the bare metal and then reflocked, and they look absolutely fantastic. The 46 will get the brown one, the 49 will get the black one.
Let's see how many stations I get on the second floor of my house. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
We're going to join us for our next broadcast.
11, 12, 13,
The west side in Manhattan, the
14,
southbound FD.
Rangers took 5
15,
penalties. The story is told.
16,
The New York
17,
high NASDAQ gained
18,
140.
19,
Or whatever.
20,
That's true, but it's also
21,
kind of...
22,
Este martes continuamos con la
23,
UEFA.
24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29 stations. A record.
Yippee-yay, there'll be no wedding bells for today. Yippee-yay, there'll be no wedding bells for today.
All right, the platters have now been installed and it's time to test things out. This will be really cool. It's amazingly sophisticated considering how old these units really are. And yes, the spindle literally lowers out of the way to remove the record. And when you close the lid, the spindle rises up through the unit. It accepts a 12-inch record, as you can see here, or a 10-inch record. Here's a shot of the radio chassis for the 46 model. He's still waiting for the new Sonotone cartridges to be delivered, but in the meantime, the 46 actually has a cartridge with some output, so it's fun to listen to, even though the project is not even close to being done yet. This one had an old crystal cartridge, so it's definitely time to remove it. Amazing it had any sound output whatsoever. Also, in the meantime, a little bit of furniture polish to make it look as good as new. And as you can see here, it truly does look fantastic. That wood just shines on both units. Truly looking good, cosmetically in very, very good condition. So it's awesome to see the transformation.
So take me out to the movies, my friend.
moment you've been waiting for. How does a V-disc sound on this? Well, FM is so pollutive over here. One of our pop stations is so loud, frequency-wise, that you can hear the pop station on FM through the amplifier mode on everything you use, even this.
A little bit of asbestos was found, so that was mitigated properly by wetting it down and gently removing it and disposing of it. Now to address that tuning dial. As you can see, it has been restrung with some nice yellow string once the pattern was determined, and it seems to be operating just perfectly. Also, he went ahead and put on a new old stock plug, which is in good condition, and then turned his attention to some cosmetic aspects, really giving that Bakelite a good shine, the wood a good treatment. As you can see here, it looks gorgeous. It's truly a thing of beauty, a work of art, in addition to being functional electronics. I really love the 49. This is known as the Boomerang unit, and there was a matching Boomerang radio that came out about the same time. Here's a couple of shots of the old 50s ceramic cartridge right before it was removed and replaced. As you can hear, the new Sonotone cartridge sounds beautiful.
12-inch load test. Let's try a 12-inch. Now this should have an auto shut-off at the end. Let's see if it actually activates. Yep. So after a few revolutions, it has a weighted pendulum that sways, and then it trips a mercury switch to shut it off, and that works perfectly fine. Good, we're ready to go. Also, when I do ship this so that it doesn't damage the stylus in shipping, I'm going to twist tie the, or actually Velcro tie the arm to the start pin, so that way it doesn't move around in shipping. I will also remove the platter and wrap it separately. So all you have to do when you get this in the mail is undo the two back Phillips head screws, push this part back and lift it up and out, and then you just have to place the turntable back on and undo the Velcro, and then you can use it. That's the only way to mail this without anything getting jostled or damaged. I don't want the stylus to get damaged on you, so I'm going to fasten that there, take the platter out, wrap it separately, and put it on top. And you just have to disassemble the top by 2 screws, slide this. I'll show you how this works. So when you take the 2 screws out, so it's right now it's positioned where it should be. When you take the 2 screws out in the back, one here, you push like that, lift up, and slide over like that. So that's how you take the top off, and that's what you'll have to do to set up the turntable once it's done being transported. That's the only safe way I could think of to ship this, so you don't end up with broken stuff in the mail. The tubes should be fine. They're well fastened in their little sockets. They usually don't fall out as long as it's facing the right direction, which I'll write this side up on the box so it doesn't get jostled in that manner. But yeah, the platter and the arm will have to be set up when it gets delivered to you, just to be safe. I don't want this gashing into something. If it comes loose and swings and hits the needle or the tubes, I better have this separated from the cabinet and this fastened to the post, so that way it doesn't cause any trouble. But that's the only thing that you'll have to do when you get it. Alright, so we're going to do a little trial run here to show you how it operates. So we're in radio mode right now.
In all 3 cities. As more and more
Okay, so as you can see, the radio works really good. Even though one of the detector tubes tested weak, it's strong enough where it'll work beautifully with your transmitter. As you could see, it got like 4 stations during the day with no external antenna. That's pretty dang good for one of these. So let's switch it over to record player. Put the Hut Sut song on. Hear the nice tone it has. No distortion, no dragging, no scraping, just pure tone, proper 3mm stylus, so you won't hear any real surface noise.
Frankie Masters presents the Swing Masters in a Swedish serenade, the Hut Sut song.
I'll do it one more time to make sure side 2 works properly. Nice clean start. And you can hear the Sonotone cartridge really has a nice clear tone with a deep, rich backing to it. So it'll really make your 78 sound brand new. And that 78 was quite worn, and it sounded like a vinyl record pretty much because of the vertical dampening that it has. That's the thing I like about Sonotone, is it doesn't really capture the vertical compliance as well when bridged to mono, which is perfect for 78s. That's why I like using them on little portables, because it really makes it, any record you throw on it, sound brand new. So as you can see, works like a charm. I will ship it to you as soon as possible, and remember those things that I will be doing packing wise, so you'll have to do a little bit of teeny bit of assembly, but it'll prevent any damage, so it'll be worth it in the long run.
Then about another week later, something showed up in the mail, and I was so excited to finally try it out. It still looks incredibly beautiful, and now it's really just time to jump in and start enjoying the unit. So here's my first play.
Got the song that I sing, I can make the rain go.
And here it is after its 3,000 plus mile journey all the way from Houston, Texas to right here in Orlando, Colorado, with a stop off for a few weeks up on the East Coast, the Northeast Coast, where my friend gave it the royal treatment. So this is a fantastic radio phonograph. It's pretty rare. As of the filming of this, there's none for sale anywhere online. There are a couple of YouTube videos. So to have one of these, I'm incredibly honored, incredibly grateful. And this is, like you now know, fully functional. And I'm just so excited to have it. So unfortunately, it did receive some damage in transit. These knobs that are, I don't know, they're a plastic. I'm not sure if they're Bakelite. This particular one busted off and was just crumbled by the time I got it. This is a replacement knob that he put on there for me, so it already is mismatched, and then this is the original knob down here. I have part of the original knob here, and I've experimented with 3D printing a file I found online for a vintage knob. As you can see, this has a circular shaft. This takes a D shaft. In addition to that, this is just not quite the right diameter. So I'm still playing around with this. You can buy them used on, or obviously used online, new old stock or whatnot. So I'll keep in mind something for that. That being said, this is the tuning dial. This is the on and off volume, and this is the mode switch between phonograph and radio. There's a little bit of a closer look at these, and very faintly you can see where it says radio and phono and this original knob there. So the finishes are beautiful. You know, there's definitely a patina there, which is another way of saying that it's weathered. That being said, the wood's in remarkably good condition. It still has some of its finish on there. I plan on putting some of that Old English oil on that wood and kind of trying to treat it somewhat. This entire top piece is Bakelite, and it's in immaculate condition. It photographs very, very well. To the naked eye, you know, it does need, you know, some cleaning a little bit, but overall it's in immaculate condition, no cracks whatsoever. The glass for the dial is intact, and it now features an LED bulb. And when you turn it on, you can see that it looks amazing, especially at night. Now, there were a lot of cracks in the black paint in these areas that shined through. I believe there were some photos of that that you've already seen. So all of this black was repainted black, really brightening that up. But I love those colors, the gold, the black, the red. It looks absolutely fantastic. The back here is, you know, pretty original looking. There was probably, I could see some staples there. There was probably something that covered this originally. It doesn't really matter now. But these two screws are what comes out to allow the top to come off. You already saw inside pretty extensively, so I'm not going to take it off again today. This unit is going to be all over this channel in the future, so we'll have plenty of time to continue the deep dive into it. I did want to point out this, though. This is really cool. This is the original owner's name and address on there, and I just did a basic Google search and come to find out that they have passed on. They were a Navy veteran. Both he and his wife have passed on now, but that was a really interesting thing to be able to learn just looking at it. So yeah, that was an amazing amount of history, but there's the backside.
11:60 p.m., 11:60 p.m., the clock was striking 1, 2, 3.
All right. To play a record, you just open the slot, very gently slide the record in until you feel it hit that stop in the back, and then lower the lid.
Wait till the sun shines down me when the clock's on.
Then you can open it anytime to stop it. Simple as that. It's a fully automatic turntable. That's incredible. 1949, you guys. 1949. All right, my friends, and that is going to do it. I'm so excited to have this unit. It's absolutely gorgeous. I feel like this sort of fills the need of having like a centerpiece vintage unit. I had with the 1917 Vita Nola back in Denver. That unit did not make the trip to Florida, and so as such, you know, I didn't have like that centerpiece for the home in terms of a vintage turntable. This is going to fit the bill very nicely. I love it. It's a beautiful unit in amazing condition, and thanks to my friend, a major shout out to him for doing that. Check out his channel, Fartamark, on YouTube. I wish he would do more restoration videos because he's constantly restoring stuff. And, you know, being his friend, I get the sneak peek of all these things, and he allowed me to share this footage for the purposes of this video today. But that's going to do it for today, my friends. Let me know in the comments, what would be your dream, like, grail phonograph turntable vintage thing to have if you could only get your hands on one? That's going to do it for today, my friends. Happy record hunting. We'll see you next time.